Okay, so we have a simple 2 by 2 by 3/4 inch block, though that's not the only type of block that would be helpful to actually build up other items. So I'm going to show you the quick and kind of dirty way of getting more versions of a simple block without having to necessarily redraw each one. Though that's another option you could take, is to just redraw. But I'm going to want you to make then, say, a 2 by 3 inch version of this block, same thickness here, okay? So what we're going to do is we're just going to do simply File, Save As. Now it's going to pop up this one here now, and now we're going to name this a slightly different one. I've already actually got versions of that in the folder that I'm going to, so I'm going to name mine slightly differently here. But I'm going to name mine 2 by 3 by 0.5 Trojan block, and I'm going to call this Demo. Oh, come on. Come on, computer. There we go. So I'm calling it this, alright? Now when I save, notice that this file name up here changed to be what I actually changed it to. So we're actually dealing with that file now. Now, it isn't a 2 by 3 block yet. What you can do here, and this is really going to depend on how you modeled yours, but I'll show you basically here. 2, 3, I'm going to change this value to be 3. 3 units, check. Looks like nothing happened. But I'm going to click on this rebuild, or hit Control B on my screen. Excuse me, on my keyboard rather. And notice how there's that little icon right there, meaning that it needs to be rebuilt to see what happens. I'm hitting Control B. There, that extended out that direction. Okay, cool. Now what we're going to have to do here is, hopefully this is why the benefit of making these features with a linear pattern here. What I would then be able to do is come in here and very easily then change, say, that number of instances that direction to be 3. I'm going to click check. Alright. And now, that as simple as that, I now have that many, but oops, my linear pattern here. How do I fillet? And see, I kind of made a mistake here when I did my fillets. So those aren't showed up as fillets. What I'd need to do is tweak that around so that my fillets are actually up here. Gonna let me do it? Oh, maybe not. So I'm clicking and dragging those up, but I filleted directly on those things instead of patterning the fillet. Little mistake, but moving on from right here. Good, I've got that block there. But notice the underside here isn't exactly right either, though. I cut extrude. I could modify this and say, hey, that needs to be 1.5. Instead of 1.5 now, if this is 3 going that way, it would actually have to be 2.5, I think, going that way. And I didn't change anything else. But depending on how you sketched out your bottom here, your extrude cut, this would be an awesome application for that thing about equations you had talked before, or we had learned about before in one of the tutorials. So here I've got it 1.5 inches that way. I actually created a relationship to make that line and that line equal in the first part. I don't want that anymore. So I clicked on that equal there to delete that. I'm going to see now that I can move this. I can go that way. But I also did create this feature on exact center of the part, which was another helpful thing to have done. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to smart dimension. Now, in this case, the dimensions that are here and here are no longer equal to each other because the brick can go out in multiple directions and not be square. It could be rectangular. So these dimensions would have to be different. What I'm going to do now is create a quick equation. Tools. Equations. We had done this before. That there, I click on that dimension. It's going to be equal to the dimensions in the sketch. I'll have to delete that away. I didn't want that there. But the one that relates to that distance, which would be that 3 right there, minus 0.5 inches. Click OK. Now you get that. It calculated it for me. Now lickety split here. 2. Oops, excuse me. I don't want that 2. I'm going to escape out of that. So this equation now, this value here is going to be equal to that value minus 0.5. And 1.5 that calculates to. Awesome. Now that will update on its own for me if I make changes. Save this. And now voila, I've got another block to use.